Hey, Eric Arnold here in the sports barn. Oh, the wee hours of Wednesday, the 2nd of November. How about those Philadelphia Phillies? Now up 2-1 on the Houston Astros. As I told you people in a previous episode, you had to like the Phillies in this series at that plus number. You're looking at underdogs in the baseball playoffs. I think the historical record is pretty clear on that. I found a website that dug out the World Series odds going all the way back. I'm talking to 1903. And if you bet the underdog in every series, and I'm just talking to take the series, the website didn't break it out game by game. Frankly, I think it would probably struggle to find the individual game odds. It probably previous to say like 1977 or something like that, you probably would struggle to find that. But at any rate, if you just pick the underdog to win each series, the rate of return was something like 7, 8, 9, 10%. I forget what it was, but it was definitely significant. So that's where the value is in the World Series. And frankly, I think it probably carries over to all the playoffs, the League Championship Series, even the Division Series. I mean, look what happened this year. Yankees out. Dodgers out. Who else was good? The Braves. The Mets. They didn't even make it past the first round. So that's what you're looking for. If you can remember that for next time around. But I'll be here to remind you. But yeah, now the Phillies, once they won Game 1, I said this series is not going back to Houston. That either the Phillies would sweep, well, that didn't happen, or they'd win it in 5. Either way, it's not going back to Houston, and I stand by that. The value in Game 4 is, again, on the Phillies. The line right now is about even. It's all over the place because it's still... the other game just ended, and the bookmakers are trying to get a feel for, okay, who's pitching, who's not. Right now, it does look like the matchup will be Christian Javier for the Astros versus Aaron Nola for the Phillies. And that's advantage Phillies. Just straight up. I mean, the Phillies should be favored by more than a little bit tomorrow, and they won't be. It's going to be around even money. You might be able to catch it a little bit one way or the other, but for the most part, it's probably going to be about even money. You're getting all kind of value on the Phillies. That's where you need to be. The Phillies are swinging the bats right now, and that's probably the biggest difference between the Phillies and the Astros. The Phillies are dangerous offensively. They're swinging the bats. No one on the Astros is really swinging the bats that well. Do you remember a game they had against the Astros where they went like 18 innings and scored 1 run? I mean, come on. The Phillies are putting the ball over the fence. They're hitting the ball well. Even in the game they lost, Game 2, where Framber Valdez, for the most part, dominated the Phillies lineup, they still scored 2 runs and frankly could have had a bunch more. Schwarber hit one to the wall. He was 1, maybe 2 feet short of a home run. That would have been at least 1 more. I think there was a guy on base too. It might have been 2 runs more. Segura hit a long fly ball to left field. It's probably out in Philadelphia. Would have been out had he pulled it 10 feet to the left into them Crawford boxes. So the Phillies could have scored more than the 2 runs they got down in that Game 2 loss. Right now, I think the Phillies have dominated this series, and I don't expect that to change in Game 4. And let's not forget another thing about Christian Javier. he was the one, as much as anybody, that lost last year's World Series. And you're saying, I don't remember that. You don't remember that series at all because nobody watched it probably. But that's what happened. It was a pivotal Game 4. The Astros are down 2-1. It's in Atlanta, but they got a 1-run lead going into the 7th inning. So Javier gets the first guy out, and then boom, boom! Swanson and Jorge Soler, of all people, go back-to-back on this guy. He was coming out of the pen. They pitched him out of the pen. And they went back-to-back on him, and that was the game, and ultimately the series. So I think that would make me nervous if I was an Astros fan. It's like, here's the guy that blew last year's World Series, and we're giving him the ball in the most important game of the year? Really? I told you people that Dusty Baker would ultimately be the difference in this series, in that he loses. Somewhere, somehow, this guy never wins the World Series, even though he's always there with some kind of super team, and he finds a way not to get it done. And I saw a reason why tonight in Game 3. The Phillies are tagging the starter McCullers all over the place. I mean, they're just bam, home run, bam, home run. I mean, they were getting to him. He was making way too many mistakes that were way too hittable. And Baker just let him in. He just let him in to get drubbed. Now it's 7-0, and he finally takes him out. It was malfeasance to give up those last 3 runs. And that changed not necessarily Game 3, but more importantly, that changes Games 4 and 5. And that's where the malfeasance comes in. He should have put he has a deep bullpen of killers. He could have put any of those guys in there to hold the fort and keep the Phillies within his arm's reach, thereby forcing Rob Thompson to use his killers out of the pen and making them unavailable in one of these next 2 games. As it was, we were pitching fans. We were pulling guys out of the stands and pitching them. And we still got the Astros out, by the way, which is another bad sign for the Astros. We pitched our worst pitchers there in the last few innings, and you guys still couldn't hit them. So that's bad for you. But now, Alvarado, Sir Anthony, Han, even David Robinson, all these guys are fresh now for the next 2 games in Philadelphia. And those guys can pitch multiple innings now on multiple days as we try to close it out. That's malfeasance on Baker's part. There's no way that should have happened, but it did advantage us. And yeah, I think that come this time Friday morning, when it's about quarter after one Friday morning, we'll have a bonfire going, we'll have a champagne bottle open, we're going to be getting high, we're going to be getting loose, and we're going to be the world champions. That's what I'm thinking here. The Phillies are going to close this out in the next 2 days. And you're going to get paid to see it because the Phillies are still going to be underdogs. That's what I don't get. I don't understand why they keep making the Phillies, or I should say perhaps the Astros, why they're making them such big favorites. The regular season's the regular season, and then the playoffs are the playoffs. And the Astros simply have not gotten it done in the playoffs these last few years. They've lost to the Nationals. They've lost to the Braves. And now they're going to lose to the Phillies too. The Phillies have played in a tougher division. Maybe they played in a tougher league too, frankly. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely like Nola. We'll see. I don't, even if he doesn't pitch that well, Thompson's not going to let him just get drubbed. Yeah, if the Astros get up 3-0 on him, he'll be out. And I'm still not that worried because the Phillies are going to score. They're going to score in Philadelphia. that crowd just wills these guys to do their thing. It's an incredible advantage right now to play in Philadelphia. So we're looking at the Phillies. That's the pick for tomorrow in Game 4. And there you have that. There will be a Politicsbarn episode up also over at Rumble. Remember, Rumble, that allows us to speak freely like adults. I guess I'm going to have to get a Twitter account. It seems like Twitter has now been freed. It seems like that's now come to pass, that Elon Musk has freed Twitter. So something to think about there. But Politicsbarn, all one word, that is where the next political video will be. Go over there and check that out. One other thought at the top of my head. Thanks to all the people who gave me well wishes and condolences and whatnot over the death of my father. Hey, he was 92. You know, it's not like it was a total shock. I think it was to him, frankly. He said he never thought he'd be in that kind of condition. You know, reality dawns on Herb Arnold. So, but yeah, thanks to everybody that was nice to me during that sad time. And he's with us in spirit, right? I've thought about that. It's kind of like, you know, even the last few times before he lost his marbles, you know, at a certain point, you don't have that much to say anymore. It's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, all right. So I think I've absorbed all his wisdom, and it's kind of like Jor-El with Superman. Jor-El's Superman's father, and he has all the ice crystals, and that has all the wisdom of Jor-El in it. So if he needs to know an answer, he pulls out an ice crystal, and Jor-El tells him the answer. So if I need to know the wisdom of Herb Arnold, I just like pull it out of my head here and just, oh yeah, he would have said, that's a goddamn stupid thing to do, or whatever else he would have said about certain situations. So, anyway, good, great, thanks. Stay tuned for a brief Political Barn episode. Thanks so much.